Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Qigong and the mind-body connection. I see some familiar faces there. I'll wave to you all simultaneously. So greetings. We're just a few of us here practicing live and be training with you today from Wilmington, North Carolina. And I have been, especially in this last hour, breathing into the energy that is hustling and bustling as we get closer to joining and tuning in together today. We have 96 plus people from around the world. Actually, we have different countries and so on represented here today. And we're joining together and in like mind. And we are here to practice Qigong and talk about the mind-body connection. And this is being sponsored by the Love, Peace, Amen Foundation. Free to you guys to watch now, and also will be recorded later for those that will be tuning in later. You want to go back and work with some of these practices. Those of us that are here in real time, you're already feeling the energy of this. Some of you maybe more, some of you less. So let's work with it. So the first thing that I want to invite you to do, I'm going to do a little bit of conversation, a little bit of introduction, and then we'll go right into some practices, standing practices. Before I get into the standing practices, I'd like everybody that is able and so on at this moment to actually just pause in whatever it is that you're doing and find just a stable place to sit or stand. And if everybody could just kind of pause with me for a moment and check in with your own breath. Eyes can be open or closed, but the first thing you want to do is make your physical body still. That's difficult for a lot of people. It takes training, it takes discipline, but learning to just stop the body from moving, which begins to conserve your energy. But at first, it can be a little disturbing to people because you immediately start noticing that you are more stressed out than you thought you were. That's what happens for a lot of people. They come into an acute realization, for example, that I have a lot of anxiety. So let's talk to you a little bit about how to work with that. So the first thing is to make the physical body physically still. The second thing is to sit as much as possible straight upon the spine. I'm just going to like place my hands on my legs for right now. I actually, if possible, I want to make my spine straight without using the chair. So I want to just make myself straight. This is going to help with the energy flow up and through the spine. And now here comes a little bit more advanced practice, but I'm going to teach you it even if you're a brand new beginner. It will take some practice, but here's what we're going to do. First thing you want to do is when your mind is really active and in anxiety and thinking and like all of this, it's very much up here in the top of the brain. So the very first thing you want to try and do is bring your attention and your focus, your ability to focus, bring it here. Bring it here. You can even touch your fingers there for a moment if that helps you, or you can place your palm here. But you want to bring your attention here. And then this takes a little more practice, but then you want to, I know we're going to do it with hands for those of you, especially if you're beginning, so you can get a sense for this of feeling it. We want to bring the attention here, and then slowly we'll take the hand and or the attention. We're going to keep bringing it down the body here. We want to bring it down, and you can bring it down almost like a zipper, like you're unzipping your jacket slowly, slowly. And you may even notice that starts to change your breath a little bit. And then come down just below, you can't see my fingers, but just below the navel center, about 3 fingers width. So like 3-finger width like this, just below your belly button. And just take your fingers like this in a clump and hold it right there. This is the lowest part of the lower dantian, what's called the lower dantian, or in Japanese martial arts, we call it the hara. And now, with this other hand, it may help you in the understanding of what we're doing with the feeling. With this other hand, slowly moving this hand down. And it's not just the idea of moving the energy down here to lower dantian, it's that you want to bring your mind down. So sometimes if you're really good at this, you can do that with one movement, but most people are not going to be able to. So then slowly come back up here. And again, you're not just waving in the air, and you're not even just moving the energy down, although you are. You're giving the body and the mind, this body-mind connection that we're going to be talking about here today, you're giving it this opportunity to connect and start doing something very purposeful that changes the energy and also the emotions of what you're experiencing. So right now, we're not worried about what the breath is or is not doing. We are concerned with holding that area of the lower dantian with the fingers. And then this other hand is literally attempting to take the energy. Let's go this way now, forehead. As you come down to about the upper chest, turn the palms so that it's pointed downward, and then slowly move the mind and the energy down to that place where you have your fingers. And then again, come up. I'm going to do a sweeping hand coming up to the forehead. I'm going to go slow. I don't want to go fast because I'm actually trying to make this connection with the hand, the mind, the body, the energy, and the emotions. I'm trying to bring it all together, and I'm going to have to move slow in order to do that. Again, I'm going to slowly come up. I'm going to come to the head, and I like burped right there a little bit. That's another indication that I'm starting to settle some of the energy. It's like a rest and digest sign. And I can feel the breath starting to change there. And that's not just my breath. It's literally, I can feel it happening within the group here. We're getting a little bit more grounded than where we were perhaps an hour ago here. As you're getting ready to join, let's keep going with this a little bit longer here. So this is a seated practice, obviously, that can be done. Could also do this standing. I'm going to show it to you seated first. Now I want to show you one that some of you are familiar with. Some may be seeing for the first time. We're going to do this later standing, but both my hands are going to come up like this. In our school, we call this the waterfall. It's like you're standing in a waterfall, and here comes the water. Yeah, I'm going to touch my middle fingers together. I'm going to move slow. Again, I'm not concerned with what my breathing pattern is right now. Slowly moving the energy and moving my mind down, 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 and bringing those hands right past the navel center. And they just touch my legs. And then I'm going to come back up like this. And again, I'm going to touch middle fingers. And again, I am not concerned about my breathing pattern. There are different ways to influence the breathing pattern, and one of them is to literally practice just observing your breath, practicing using your mind, organizing the energy, and as the energy becomes organized, it will automatically change your breath. There's more to it than that. I could get much more technical, but let's leave it at that for now. Coming up. Slowly down, coming up slow, and coming down. Now, just with one hand, sweeping the forehead, then we get to the chest and walk this slowly down. Your hands are like magnets. Now with the other hand, you want to bring down this energy, down, 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 down. Press. Other hand. Different ways, slightly different ways of doing the same thing. And sometimes it's good to switch it up because it keeps you wakeful and keeps you mindful, which is a very important part of the practice. Now I'm going to come here like a zipper, but the zipper starts here at my forehead. I'm going to unzip. By going down. I'm literally going to go down my own body here, right down the zipper line. I'm going to go right down below that lower dantian, right where I was talking about, where my fingers are down there. Right here, just below my belly button, holding this position. Okay. And now let's take this other hand, and either in a position like this, okay, or flat, whichever you prefer. Here, this is a little more concentrated. This is a little more dispersed. Both of them have their benefits. So whatever feels comfortable for right now. Another position where you're holding in this vicinity of the heart center, right? In the center. Now, in traditional Chinese medicine and Taoist practice, so on, we are now joining two chakras, and we're also joining two dantians. The dantians are called elixir fields, and they're said to be deeper than the chakra. The chakra is more on the surface. By holding these two together, we're connecting, which we'll get into more details later, what is called the second brain in the Western world, which is this area of lower dantian. And we are connecting this area of the heart space, which Western medicine has the ability to measure this field with this thing called an EKG. And there is an elixir field here. And there are studies being done talking about this field, where supposedly they can measure this field literally from the earth all the way to the moon, from your heart to the moon. So ask yourself a question. How are you starting to feel right now? Because I can definitely feel the energy of the group more managed. It's not quite as anxious as it was an hour ago or 10 minutes ago. It's starting to get a little more organized. It's still bubbling though, for some of you, I'm sure more than others, like an anxiousness and so on. So let's just keep staying here with this for a moment, holding these two centers, doing our best to connect to them. Sometimes one thing it takes is just a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. And then let's bring the hands, both of them, to this area of the heart space. Now that we've got a little bit more connection with the lower dantian, let's go to this middle dantian with this prayer-like position here. You will see this prayer position, or what is sometimes called a prayer mudra. You will see this in many traditions, many religions and pseudo-religions or practices like Buddhism. You will see this position very often. This is a gesture that has to do with love, compassion, kindness, and the heart. By holding this particular position, just by holding the position, you begin to influence your middle dantian, you begin to influence your heart space. And right here, lives within this space, lives what every single person here is looking for. Every single person that came to this program today, what you're looking for, it lives in your heart. It lives just underneath the grief and the pain that you feel when you say, I feel a lot of pain, I have a lot of grief, and it's deep in my heart. The way I would teach something to you about this is that I know it seems like it lives deep in your heart. It's not very deep. It's actually just underneath the surface. So when you say I have deep hurt in my heart, the truth is, the way I would express that is, after doing a lot of work on myself for a lot of years, 40 years, underneath there, just underneath the surface, that's where your hurt, your grief, and your pain is. If you go deeper, then there is a wellspring of energy that can bring healing to all of what is sitting there on the surface. that is causing you pain and causing you grief, namely this thing called your emotional past. So we'll get into that. Stay with us for another few moments here. Another little trick of the trade, if you will. For a moment, place a little bit of an inner smile on your face. So you're just smiling to your insides a little bit. Eyes open or closed, whatever's comfortable for you. And for a moment, forget about yourself. Forget about whatever problems you have or struggles you have going on. For a moment, let's just set those aside. And for a moment, I want you to think of one person who's not here with you today, somebody that could use your energy, somebody that could use your healing, somebody that could use your kindness, your compassion, your thoughtfulness, and some energy from this group. And I want you to just think about that person and hold them in your awareness. You can either like image them or see their name or whatever the case may be. We're going to start out the day right away with some distance healing. And as you're doing this meditation, this distance healing program, I also want you to notice, how is this influencing your own heart? So you're practicing an inner smile. I can't do it and talk to you, so I can't really show you while I'm talking. So inner smile while holding this heart mudra, while simultaneously imaging one person that you sincerely care about. Now, with that person that you are offering loving thoughts to, here's the one thing I ask you to now refrain from doing in case you've gotten caught up in doing this at all. Set aside feeling bad for them. Set aside feeling sorry for them. Set aside feeling deep hurt for them. Instead, send them kindness, send them compassion. It's subtly different. It doesn't have the same kind of heartache. It doesn't necessarily feel amazing. You may feel some grief or pain for a loved one. But compassion is bigger than that. It's a very big heart. It's a very big heart space. And then I'm going to be quiet for a moment so I can put that little inner smile on my face too. And let's all practice this together for a minute. And it's best to just think about how much you love that person or love that animal or whatever the case may be, whoever may be in need of healing from you today and from the group. Inhale, exhale. Take your arms for a moment and just reach them up above you like so. This is like reaching up to the heavens. Once again, I'm not focused on my breath. I'm just letting my breath be what my breath is. So I want to stretch in that direction. And now I'm going to go wide and I'm going to stretch in this direction, and not just stretch my physical body, although I am doing that. I want you to imagine that you're a big ball of energy. You're an energy field of energy. Big ball of light, the light, and draw a little picture. Take your index fingers, touch them, and draw a little picture for yourself around yourself, all the way down below your feet, and then come back up. This is your auric field. This is your field. And this right here, medical Qigong, is a style of Qigong practice. Anyway, it is called a form of field therapy. This is what it means. You're working with the field. You're working with your energy field. So imagine the field is very big here, and then grow the field up this way here. And then take one hand and go forward, and take one hand and go back in whatever capacity. You don't have to do it exactly like I'm doing it, but some capacity like this. And imagine there's a field back here. It's pushing back behind you. and you also have it extending out in front of you. And then come around this way and draw around you, that big globe. Imagine it as a sphere. Go maybe down this way. It's coming up and around this way. Now it's coming up and over your head this way. And imagine from the backside, if I go down, I'm drawing this sphere of light around me this way, bringing it back. And now I'm inside of it. I'm inside of it. I'm inside of it. I'm inside of it. And now see this toward the ground? I'm going to open it this way, and then I'm going to bring it to the ground. I'm going to open it this way, and then I'm going to bring it to the ground. I'm going to open it this way, and I'll bring it to the ground. Open it up, bring it to the ground, come up with my hands, up, reach high, and then down toward the ground. Then with one hand, just one hand, I'm drawing it. Imagine it around me. I'm going to bring my hand around, just imagining the sphere, just playing in the sphere. I'm going to come around, and I'm in this globe of light, and then I'm going to come up again. I'm here, and I'm going to hold. And when I get down here to the bottom, I'm going to place my hands like so, and they're parallel to the floor. And I want to leave them there. And I want to have somewhat relaxed shoulders, but this is also a press down. So not like pushing down, but I am pressing down, if that makes sense. And notice my armpits slightly open here. We're starting out today with some chair Qigong, obviously. Didn't exactly plan on it, but it's how we're working with it. So, and this is great, because if you're at the office one day or you're working in front of the computer or whatever it is, most of you won't forget this. You'll remember, we can do some of that chair Qigong. I'm on the airplane. I'm feeling anxiety. I can take one hand and bring the energy down. Walk it slowly. And then I can place my hands below lower dantian. I can take the other hand and gesture coming up. This is like the clean energy, see? And then here, we're going to clean out this energy here and bring the energy down, 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 down. And again, it's not just the energy, it's that I want to bring my mind down here. So notice I'm using my other index finger. I'm pointing to this area here. This is where I'm wanting to bring my mind. And then I'm going to come up with that hand again, and I'm going to bring this down. And some of you, this will be helpful for, especially if you're new to Qigong, you don't necessarily feel it as much. This sometimes can help. Actually go right on the forehead, right on the eyes, touch your nose with your fingers, pull on your face, go underneath your chin, down your throat, go straight down the center line of your body. If you go here and like, let's say you start to feel as you're coming down, you're like, oh, I really feel the stress right there. Go slow through there, slow, 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 and keep bringing it down, bring 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 down the energy, and then hold it there. Now, here's a question for you to make this evaluation. Does anybody here, you don't have to answer me directly, because I already know the answer, but this is for you. Ask yourself a question. Does anybody here feel like it's a little easier to breathe? I bet you the answer is yes, for almost all of you, if not all of you. Now take your hands. We're going to go slow like this. We're going to slowly inhale through the nose on this one. So I'm slowly inhaling through my nose. And then I'm going to slowly exhale through my nose as my hands come down. I'm going to push off to the side, like let that energy go. I'll come up. Exhale. Let's go again. And this is with the breath. So I'm exhaling. I finish the exhale. When I'm ready to breathe, that's when the hands go. I'm going to try and time my breath in my hands so that when my breath becomes full, I am here. And when I start the exhale, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to try and time it to where as my exhale finishes, my hands finish. When I'm ready to breathe in, I slowly come up. I inhale slow through the nose. I want to try and breathe that breath down into my lower belly, lower dantian. And if you breathe slowly through the nose, that's what will automatically happen. If you breathe too fast, it will automatically go to your lungs. Remember here, touching middle fingers together. Sometimes we do that. I recommend it in this moment. Coming down, up. And now let go of the breath. So if you're exhaling, that's fine, but just letting go of control of the breath in any way. Walking this down slow, 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 slow. Now take both fingers, touching middle finger still together there, below the belly button, just below this time, just on the lower rim. Bring the fingers somewhat tight together, not too spread out with the hands. And hold here for a moment. I'm going to be quiet for a moment. And for those of you that are kinesthetic, see if you can feel what I'm doing. Now remember, for those of you that are new, you want to bring your attention to your forehead. So we're doing it without the hands now. And then you want to take that attention and that concentration that you have focused right between your eyebrows there, sometimes called the third eye, or the it's called the yin tong brow chakra in acupuncture. And then take your mind and move it down, maybe first to your heart space, your chest, then move it down to your solar plexus, then move it down to where your hands are, and then see if you can concentrate your attention. And this is difficult for most people initially, but see if you can concentrate your attention there for 10 seconds, and then your mind might run away. It takes more practice to get to a place where you can sit there and just keep focusing there. And it is a practice worth learning and mastering. And I can tell you all kinds of reasons why before this program's over. But let's start with that as an idea for now. So keep bringing your mind there. And if you find that your mind is going back up to the top of your head, you're thinking about all kinds of things, you're feeling maybe too much, getting lost in your feelings, bring your attention down to this area. And one of the ways that I teach it, because once you feel this, once you feel it and have an experience of it, this comment will make a lot of sense. This teaching will make a lot of sense. I say to people, sit down the mind. So if you're ever in one of my Qigong classes and you've been training with me for a while, I may say to you, sit down the mind. A beginner will have no idea what to do with that unless I've taught you something, okay, or somebody else has taught you something. So it takes practice, but we're going to start there. That is difficult, but it is worth mastering. Go ahead and take a little in-breath through the nose there. Inhale, exhale. Let's just take our hands and kind of shake them out like this, all right? And let's continue with our icebreaker by standing up and doing some standing Qigong, and then we'll chat a little bit afterwards. Just gonna adjust my computer here. Bear with me for a moment or two. It's pretty good.
Can't I open?
So nobody has to ask me the question now. Can we practice Qigong seated? Because you can see, absolutely you can. So if you're at the computer or you're, I do it in the airport and so on. It's very interesting. I'm not worried about people, they want to look at me funny, that's their business. We're gonna rub our hands together like this. That's their business, but I will be on the plane or something and I just do this. I hold my lower belly, I'll move my hand like this. And you know who the first ones to look at me? It's so interesting. Who do you think are the first ones to look at me? Carrie knows the answer to this. Do your grandchildren do something now because you do something now? What is the thing your grandchildren do now because you do it?
Copy what you're doing.
They copy what you're doing and they copy Carrie's Qigong. And her little grandson goes outside when he's feeling stressed out and anxious. Both of them have been to my class once, right? Once. And but when they're feeling stressed out and anxious, they go outside, step outside, go stand by a tree and start doing what I'm going to show you right now. So the first thing is we're rubbing hands together very gently, very easy. This is excellent, excellent for calming anxiety. It takes your attention away from your organs and all that stressful stuff that's going on in your kidneys and your adrenal glands. And it brings your attention to these very powerful things right here. Go ahead and hold them out like this. These very powerful things right here, which have the ability to become very powerful healing hands. I'm a living testament to that. Have demonstrated this many, many times. These hands, your hands, are very, very powerful because of the mind that uses them consciously and deliberately. So consciously and deliberately use your hands here by rubbing them together gently and easy. And so that you can do it for a minute or two, not like, oh, tire yourself out, just nice and easy. And you're bringing your attention here to your hands and away from whatever sort of stress pattern you might have going on in your body, etc. So we start with this, rubbing hands together. Oftentimes I'll do this as a warm-up for a Qigong class. It's one of my favorites for warming up a Qigong class, and then also giving you guys the tools so that if you are on the plane, or you are at the office, or you have 5 minutes to sit down, instead of sitting there and staying in that very weird, stressful breathing pattern, start rubbing your hands together like this. See what it does. See what it does. Now I can make circles. I'm kind of making circles with my hands. I can just rub back and forth straight. I can also begin to interlace the fingers so that I'm getting a little rubbing action happening, some friction between my fingers, which is very good. If you have like arthritis or anything like this, this is a very good practice to get going and to be using the hands and the fingers. And for those of you that do have any of that going on, I'll show you another little trick here as well with the hands before we go into our next little practice here. You take index finger and thumb, tap it, just tap, tap, tap. Then go middle, then go ring, then go pinky, then go backwards, go all the way through. So 3 times, tapping 1 or 4, it doesn't have to be exact, but tap, 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 go back, tapping, tapping, tapping. Now do both hands at the same time, tapping, tapping, go all the way down to the pinky, then move your way back, tapping, tapping, tapping. This is very good for the fingers, the hands, various acupuncture meridians. You have the 5 elements represented here in your fingers. And so tapping here, and then this one here, when you see if we just touch these 2 together, this here, this particular position, you see the Buddha meditating in it in seated position. And in yogic practices, this is called the Gyan Mudra. And this is a very powerful, has a very powerful impact on the subconscious mind and a very powerful effect on, therefore, the body. So do you see how I'm holding both now? This one is high and this one is low. So we literally went from our healing hand practice of tap, 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 work our way backwards, do it with me. tap, 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 tap. Then the other hand, tapping, 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 going all the way back. And then we end up in this Gyan Mudra here. One low like this with palm like up, facing up. And then this other one here held to the side. And then just pause for a minute. Knees slightly bent, chin parallel to the floor. Pelvis tucked slightly. Stay with that one for a moment, holding that position. Alicia, they'd love for you to be in the picture and move over here to the closer to the plant. They would love to be able to see you. It's literally been referenced from the other side. It must be meant to be. She was trying to hide, but you found her. There are others here who are hiding. We may get them later. All right, so holding this position here. Inhale, exhale. Hands moving slowly. Don't worry about your breath. Moving slowly. See me walk my feet out a little wider. I'm touching middle fingers together. I'm now going to bend my knees. I'm going to slowly start bringing this one down, slowly, slowly with the hands. Letting my breath be whatever my breath is. I'm going to walk the energy down, so to speak, below my belly button. I'm going to sort of press down. I'm going to move out to the outside. My palms will turn up. I'm going to start to raise up here. You can think of this as like gathering the heavens, or like I said earlier, this is like a waterfall above your head. Here comes the water. You're going to let the water run down and through your body here. And right now, I'm just letting the breath be whatever the breath wants to be. I'm not controlling it in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to go slow here and move the hands down. Slowly coming up. If as you come up, your body naturally wants to take an in-breath there, which it might, go ahead and let your body have that breath. And then here you may start to notice naturally that your body wants to exhale. If the breath comes to you in that way, let it come. Until it comes, don't worry about it. Just slowly work with the energy, because the energy will begin to influence your breathing patterns. Walk it down, hold it down there. This is a grounding kind of position here. And then here, gather from the heavens, so to speak, and gather from the top of the waterfall. And then here, touching middle fingers if you'd like right there. And then walking this down. Now I'm going to purposefully inhale through the nose. Slow and low. I'm going to exhale as I sink. Can exhale through the nose and the mouth here. So as you start to exhale, you may start like nose a little bit, and then exhale from the mouth. We can even make various sounds there that can be helpful. It's like an HA sound, like a one sound we can use. It's like a sighing sound, good for calming the hearts, calming what we call the Shen. All right, from here, let's work with this lower Dantian area. So here's our lower Dantian. Let's just kind of like come across. So my belly button's in the middle of what I'm doing with my hands, just like coming across with my hands like this, okay? Just to kind of show you general vicinity here of lower Dantian. And then let's go up to the right side. Right side is your liver side. So liver, gallbladder over here on your right side, just below the rib cage. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to move around to the other side. And I'm going to come down. So I'm going to go up here, liver, gallbladder side, over here to stomach, spleen. I'm going to come down. This is the descending colon, large intestine, down to the colon. And then I'm going to come across the lower belly. I'm going to come up. And this whole area sometimes is referred to as Dantian. As we get more specific, though, it gets isolated in this area around the belly button. So kind of now just go into the area of the belly button and you're massaging this area. So like in Japanese martial arts, they call this area the hara. But when you look up some of the interpretations of it, hara just means like belly. So like lower, it's not even lower, it's like belly. So like this whole area in some disciplines would also be referred to as a very important area. Let's just call it that. Okay, and then the emanation of the first field is here at the belly button. Okay, and this is going to be very important for our conversations later today, but it's very important for our practice as well, because this is the epicenter right here of, again, what is called lower dantian, second chakra. Get into that a little bit. And then also what is being referred to in Western science as the second brain. We're going to get into what that's about when we start talking about this mind-body connection. So bring your hands now kind of like we did earlier, like this pointed kind of position, and then bring it right there to your the outside of your navel center. Again, this kind of has more of a penetrating energy to it than if we went flat hands. Anyway, I'm just going to start like that for a moment. And your middle fingers, I'd like you to have those right at the lower rim of your belly button. So I'm holding this type of position here with my hands like a beak or a crane's beak or something. And I'm taking the two middle fingers and I'm placing them right at the lower rim of my belly button, the bottom part of the rim of my belly button. And I'm going to hold there for a minute, okay? Now, for those of you who are new to this, or you've been training with me for years and you've heard this before, you know me, I'm going to talk about it again and again because it's super important in your practice, I think. So lower dantian is associated with your reservoir of qi. It is referred to as an elixir field back in the day, 5,000 years ago, being talked about as an elixir field. Again, we'll talk about what Western science is discovering with this area. But for now, what I want you to know is that your legs are like two pipes. The qi comes up through your feet. For most people, it gets trapped in the ankles, the knees, and the hips. Okay. Really for all of us. I mean, some people have better flow than others, but we all get stuck somewhere in there. Anyway, the qi flows up. If it's unobstructed, it moves up through the various meridians of the legs, but also up through the legs, just like pipes, two pipes, comes up and feeds into the backside, up into your kidneys. Okay. And so as you're holding this area, you are charging your battery. Another reference for what the lower dantian is like. It's like a battery. You're recharging the battery here. And as you're recharging that battery, you're fueling the kidneys. And as you fuel the kidneys, you're going to fuel everything else. If your kidneys are not functioning properly, your lower dantian is not functioning properly, the rest of the system goes downhill after that. I'll keep it simple for you today and say it like that. So from this position here, we're going to do an inhalation. As we do the inhalation, we're going to take our hands and we're going to go around this belt, like where our belt is, but right from the belly button there. And we're going to go inhale, bring it right back here toward our kidneys. We're going to exhale as we go down the backs of the legs. If you can reach the backs of your knees, that's great. Just go there. If you can reach the backs of your feet, you can go there. Either way, come around the outside of your feet or your legs. Wrap around. You're going to inhale as you come up the insides. You're kind of tracing the meridians here to just to some degree on the inside of the legs. Inhale as you raise your arms up. Exhale as you sit your weight down. The inhale is through the nose. The exhale can be through the mouth, which is different than yogic practices, at least most yogic practices. Inhale. Exhale.
around the outside. Inhale. Coming up. Exhale. This one right here is one of the 8 brocades exercises. Inhale. Exhale. This is 2 hands hold the feet to strengthen the kidneys and the waist. We could also consider the waist. Another reference for that would be lower dantian. Inhale here. Hold the breath for a second in that lower belly. Exhale the breath. Inhale coming up. Exhale down. Inhale, bringing the energy around to the kidneys, going down the backs of the legs. This is where the bladder meridians run. The bladder meridian runs around the outside of the foot. Come to the inside, you start to catch up with the kidney meridian there. Inhale as we're coming up. Kidney meridians run right up there along the outsides of the navel center there. Inhale here. Exhale here. Inhale coming up. Exhale coming down. Inhale. Exhale. Do a few more of these. Let's do 2 more. One more. Let's go into a 2-handed waterfall here. Leave the left hand pressing down toward the side, or at least one hand, doesn't matter which one. Go one-handed, coming down just like we did, my palm facing my forehead. And then as I get to my throat, I start turning it over and down. Doesn't have to be exact, but roughly there. Press, move that hand to the side. Come up with this other hand, draw the energy down past the throat, turn the hand over, palm down. Press down, bring the hand out to the side. Repeat. Other hand slowly. Moving it down. Move it to the side. When I get right here and I start to bring it down and I turn the hand over, we're going to get just a tiny bit fancy here. Moving from the pelvis, and the hand is moving like in a zigzag fashion as we make our way down. Coming here, the hand turns palm down. We start to move from the pelvis, causing the arm and the hand to move in a zigzag-like fashion, walking the energy down. Why? Because Qigong is like a form of washing the mind. So when you scrub things, what do you sometimes need to do? You need a little scrubbing action. But here it's like move the energy. You're still trying to walk that energy down to your lower dantian. So you're trying to catch any of that energy that might be stubborn or whatever, and it doesn't want to move down. Shoulders and arms should be very relaxed. And this is moving from the pelvis, moving the energy down, and then bring it to here. Come up, inhale, exhale. From here, we're gonna do a light tap to the outside. Our legs here. We go all the way down. This is gallbladder meridian here. Gonna come down, stomach meridian, gonna come up the inside here. Okay, some different meridians. Liver, kidney, spleen. Anyway, we're tapping here, down the outside. Come up the inside. Tapping back here. Buttocks, sacrum, whatever you can reach there. Gonna come up here lightly to the chest. Gonna go down. Arm, come back up the outside. Reach back here to the shoulder. You can use this other arm to help you get a little further back if you desire. A little light tapping there. I'm gonna come across the very top of my chest. And go down here, come back up here. Tapping the back there. As best you can. Good. From this position, let's just open up the arms there a little bit. From here, I'm going to go to some degree of a horse stance. So just like I'm sitting on a horse a little bit, okay? Something like that. This is fine too. Legs aren't as strong, whatever. But roughly like this. And so from here, it's very important that the upper body is relaxed when you're practicing Qigong. So let's make sure. Also, it's very important that your lower body, certain styles more than others, but if you want to understand that grounding and that connection and that anchoring to the ground, it's my first Tai Chi teacher many years ago taught it like this. He said it's like being like a bamboo plant. Your roots grow down into your feet. So sink your weight and bring your body down. That's the anchoring into the ground. But then your upper body here, your upper body should be swaying in the wind and be able to sway in the wind. So I'm going to show you this just rolling pattern. We're going to roll the elbow. So we're going to bring this like a reeling silk-like motion. So you're going to roll the elbow. The main thing I want you to get out of this right now is just the idea that the upper body is very relaxed. So you're just checking your upper body. We're not going to like make this movement perfect or whatever, or focus as much on the reeling of the silk itself. I want to just focus on opening arms, shoulders. This should be relaxed. This is a way of testing and seeing, are my shoulders and is my body, upper body relaxed. Now lift the hands here and let them drop. This is another way of making sure your shoulders are not too tense. Drop. Okay. Now, also, if we change our body position, so I'm standing straight, but if I kind of slide my foot behind me off about 45 degrees, and then I turn my pelvis so that both of my feet are kind of pointed off to the side, and I put my hands out, we call this like our surfboard, we're like on our surfboard here, okay? So main idea is that you just have good balance and you're practicing from a place of not falling over, okay? So from here now that I have my roots, I want to check and I want to just lean forward, okay? And then I want to like put some more weight to my back leg and lean back. Like in Tai Chi, you'll see them a lot of times they'll have this foot and they lift it up. The reason they can lift the foot is because they're putting the majority of the weight to the back leg. So this is just a transfer of weight forward, a transfer of weight back. Now, here's the part that I really want to focus on for this. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see me. I want to now move my upper body in a circular fashion. I'm going to try my best. You try your best at home to move. This is the top part of the bamboo plant. So this part, arms, upper body, doing its own little dance. But meanwhile, on the foundation of the lower body. So you have those strong roots, and then you're practicing being very relaxed, flexible, and flowy with your upper body. Okay, that's the idea. And then I'm just going to bring my feet together and I'm going to slide my foot back, same idea, onto the other side. turn my feet, I'm on my surfboard. Don't worry about all this, doesn't have to be exact, just make sure you don't feel like you're gonna fall over. Then from there, just shift your weight slightly forward, shift your weight slightly back, whatever's comfortable there. And then same idea from here is I'm gonna turn this way again so you can see me. My upper body is going to circle this way, and I'm gonna hang. This is actually you've ever seen the martial art of drunken kung fu? They practice this type of Qigong, only they use it for martial arts practice. But again, it's that idea of being like bamboo, upper body very relaxed, bendy, and your lower body rooted, grounded, and holding on to the floor. And when you're ready, come back to the center. March your feet on the floor, kind of like you're punching your foot into the floor ever so lightly, but this helps you to get grounded, helps break up some stagnation. You have mini energy centers in your feet called chakras, mini chakras. This will help cleanse that area. A primary acupuncture point called kidney 1. It's right there in the middle of your foot. So this is it's a good practice to help you get grounded. Let's step out a little bit wider than shoulder width. If you're comfortable with that, we're just going to do a little bit more here, and we'll have a little break for conversation and some water and so on. So rub your hands off, just almost done with this part of it. Some good practices there to contemplate. This is another one. So you want to imagine that your wrists are being pulled by puppet strings. And then extend palms down toward the floor. Puppet strings, palms toward the floor. When I come up puppet strings, notice my elbows, they're down here. They're not like this. So up, down. Now I'm going to do that also with my posture. So I'm going to start with a somewhat sunk posture, squatting, drop into my horse. And as I'm here, and I'm here. I'm lifting a little, and I'm sinking a little. I'm lifting a little, and I'm sinking a little. Slow, slow. Now see, and when you're moving slow enough, your breath will start to do the thing it needs to do. This is the exhale. This is the inhale. Imagine breathing through the feet, up into the kidneys. If it becomes too tiresome to worry about your breath, just slow the movement. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's go out to a waterfall. Make a little shh, SH sound, like you're saying shh, quiet, be quiet. This time, let go of the breath, keep your legs tall, move the hands very slowly, 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 and go down. Hands, middle fingers touching each other, lower rim of the belly button. Palms flat against the belly, holding lower dantian. Knees slightly bent, be very still. This is our finishing up practice for this round. Holding just still for a moment. When you get better at Qigong, been doing it for a while, this becomes vacation time. You get to spend a minute in a very nice deep meditation. To begin with, most people just want to hurry up and get on with their day. But this is the part that over time you may discover it's wonderful to spend a minute or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 here. And at the end of your moving practices, it has a very profound effect on bringing healing to the mind, to the body. Once again, taking your attention, bringing it to the third eye, and then bringing that attention, bringing it down to your lower dantian where your hands are, and then extending that attention down into your feet so you are very aware that you have feet. Because if you were to do this practice for 10 minutes and forget that you have feet, you might fall down. And it does happen to people now and then, so you have to be careful and make sure you're focused on your feet. Some people, especially who are beginners, who are wrestling with different things, emotions and stress and so on, they get too caught up in their head. So you need to learn to bring that energy down, down to the lower belly, down to the feet. Inhale, exhale, brush your hands off, and get a sip of water here, and we will regroup. And if anybody needs to use the restroom or anything, go right ahead. Take care of yourselves during our program today. What's up, James from Southington? Us. All right, gang. So for those of you that are still with me, the rest can tune in as they desire. So let's talk a little bit about the mind-body connection. Obviously, I recognize some familiar faces and some people I've never met before. So let's just throw in a few pieces of the puzzle here of why we practice, what we practice, and some of the science behind it, both Eastern and Western. I'm a fan of both Eastern and Western medicine. I think it's a beautiful thing that we have the opportunity to have both, you know. So this is very important. And at the same time, we don't want to go having surgeries or having, taking medications or doing things that we don't have to do if we don't have to do them, right? So for those of you that don't know, when I was younger, I got wrapped up in the system, if you will, because I got into an accident and no one could figure out how to help me with my spine. I was an athlete playing soccer, travel team, and then eventually football. Anyway, my spine got so bad my sophomore year of high school, I quit all sports. And they said that my spine was, this was literally like a couple of years after an accident that I had. They said that my spine was degenerating so rapidly that I had severe scoliosis developing.
And over the next 10 years, so from 15 to 25 years old, my spine got so bad that at 25 years old, they said, dude, your spine looks like you're 85. It's filled with arthritis. You need to start preparing for the worst. Your spine's going to crush your lungs, this, that, the other thing. And at that same time, I was also experiencing really intense anxiety. And to the point where I went in to get checked out with the medical world. And they said, yeah, you have a biological panic disorder. You know, there's nothing you can do about that, except we need to put you on medication and so on and so forth, which of course I wasn't interested in, because I had a couple-year tour of trying to self-medicate with drugs and alcohol in my teens, and didn't bode well for me. So lucky me, I got introduced to traditional Chinese medicine. I got introduced to Qigong. I got introduced to meditation. I got introduced to martial arts. I got introduced to chiropractic. I got introduced to massage. I got introduced to Western psychology and studying Western psychology at the University of Connecticut. Eventually got a degree there. Started studying emergency medical technician training, got a certificate there. Went on to study molecular cellular biology for 4 years for pre-med, was looking toward medical school, and still trying to heal my spine. 13 years later, still trying to heal my spine. And with all these great practices, but still trying to heal my spine. And then literally in the last couple of years of my training, so we're talking 26 years old to about 28 years old, I've been practicing all those years. The momentum of my practices caught up with me, and I had some incredible experiences that changed my life and made me the teacher that I am today. Experiences with energy and blood and movement in my body that was just profound. And because of my background in studying the psychology and studying the traditional Chinese medicine, and then my background in studying molecular cellular biology for 4 years, I had some major ahas, and I am still living those ahas, so to speak, and I'm teaching people about them and sharing as much of this with people as I can. Now, some people love me, but nobody likes everybody, right? So not everybody likes everybody. So there are some people who I'm not traditional enough for, and then there's other people who like, you know, what is that priest-like costume you're wearing? Anyway, I have many different costumes. I wrote this book, Qigong for Beginners, Your Path to Greater Health and Vitality. You will see pictures in the book of, and you can get this as an ebook too, but you'll see pictures in the book, I'm trying to find one real quick, but of me, you know, this is the thing, many pictures of me turning into light, okay? This is that globe or that sphere that I was talking to you about working with earlier. How can I best say? I am a scientist, but I'm also a meditator. I literally was learning how to splice DNA and all that. Like I was like literally doing that, like recombining DNA. And so like, I'm a scientist, I'm a psychologist. I worked as a supervisor in a treatment facility. I facilitated treatment programs for at-risk youth. I supervised some of the other practitioners there, counselors and therapists, and some of the student nurses and stuff that would come in. Again, was training toward becoming a medical doctor. I have black belts in 3 different martial arts and other advanced studies in martial arts. So I'm very like black and white, practical, like boom, boom, boom. I want to see the science behind it. And at the same time, I've experienced things that have taken me beyond the realm of what made sense at that time in my life. So that kind of stuff was not being taught to me in college. Things like the placebo effect and things like, you know, the power of the mind to that degree and so on. So I'm not going to get into all the details of what I did, but I healed my spine. I got rid of the panic attacks, didn't use the medication. I've used Qigong to heal many other things in my life, including my hand broken in 4 places, martial arts demonstration gone bad. Doctors said I'd never be able to lift my fingers again like this, told me I needed metal pins in my hand. And, you know, my hand is is working well. So anyway, a lot of different things. And that is the focus of my practice. Is medical Qigong has become the focus of my practice. Medical Qigong is the idea of preventing disease, staying healthy, but then also when you do have something going on, that it's not just like a form of exercise that you do. There are specific things maybe you do to bring about specific healing for specific conditions. So I'm going to bring Carrie on for a minute. Carrie's going to come over here and sit next to me. Bring your chair, Carrie. Carrie is going to tell you guys a story that she told me the other day that exemplifies the power of the mind-body connection. And Carrie, you've been practicing Qigong with me now for how many years approximately?
4+.
Okay, so about 4+ years. She's studied Qigong with other teachers, you know, online and different things. And she's studied here with me in Wilmington. What level are you now in our program?
Hovering at 3.
Okay, so she's hovering around level 3 in our program. Okay, we have 5 levels in our program. She's hovering at level 3. You've probably seen her if you've watched some of our online videos and stuff or classes. You've seen Carrie, and we've done different demonstrations and different things together. So, but I wanted her to tell the story here briefly of her experience at the hospital yesterday or day before, whatever it was. Go ahead, tell them.
It started out with a very, very busy, frenetic morning. Traffic was bad. I finally got there. Couldn't find the place I was supposed to go. Anyway, the usual business. So the first thing they do, of course, take your blood pressure, which was so high, even I went, oh. So she.
And how many points too high?
Oh,
You told me the other day.
well, about 40.
40 points too high.
Yeah.
See, like I'm a scientist. I want to know, you know. So, okay, so she continues now.
So the nurse she said, well, we'll just, you may have to stay in for a little while till we fix it. And I said, it's fine, it's fine. I've just been running around. So she goes off. She said, the doctor will be in a minute.
Now hold on, pause. I'm also a director. Okay, so check it out. She goes in there. She does this. She tells the nurse says, I'll be back. All right. So time out. You're on set. Time out. Okay. Carrie, go ahead and stand up. Go ahead and stand up because I want you to show them what you did after the nurse left the room. So the nurse leaves the room and
Well,
Carrie does what?
I was sitting there and I was waiting for her to go. And I jump up and I go,
Okay, move back so they can see you. Keep moving back. There you go. Okay, perfect. Now show them what you did. Don't even tell them. Just show them. Just show them. Because I already told you guys what this practice is. You learned it today. But she's just going to do it. And I want you to do it roughly the number of times that it took you to do it at the doctor's office, whatever you think that was. I want you to do it that many times. And if you're sensitive to this, man, like she's changing my energy right now. She's changing the energy of this room. Like I can feel it. So like if I was the nurse, like she'd be lowering my blood pressure right now. I could feel it. Whoa. And then she took a breath. And then the nurse came back in. Carrie's sitting back down, or the doctor comes in. Okay. So
First thing
the story.
First thing she does is pick up the thing for your blood pressure. Is down 40 points. And she said,
down 40 points.
Which to me was fantastic because I know this works, but to actually see it working on yourself in a stressed situation.
That's so fantastic. Little round of applause for Carrie. Okay. All right. So this is why I teach you guys what I teach you. And this is what I've used it for in my life. Okay. This is one of the things. Again, we sometimes maybe help somebody who can't practice for themselves. You know, they got some diseasement and so on. We do that too. But that's like that medical Qigong practitioner side of things. But this side of things is like, I say it all the time when we teach Qigong classes, we do the workshops, whatever it is that we're doing. You have to learn to master your mind, which, okay, that sounds pretty cool. But what does that mean? It means mastering your anxiety. It means mastering your blood pressure in a moment that you need it. It means taking control in a moment where you've lost control. These are the kinds of things that I love to do with Qigong. So I have a similar story, which you may have heard before. They may have not heard it, but I was in an anatomy and physiology class. And this is, you know, a bunch of years ago, but I was in the class, and we were moving all weekend. We were moving out of our house, and it was Monday morning, and I had a midterm exam. And so I showed up for the exam, and before the exam, we did a lab. We had a lab. And during the lab, they hooked us up to this skin and brain monitor, EEG, right? And they had me hooked up. And so I was working with a nurse, and the nurse looked at my pattern. It was very jagged. It was like very much like this. And she looked at me and she said, are you stressed? Like, this is kind of a jagged pattern or whatever. And I said, well, you know, I've been moving all weekend. We have a midterm exam. And I said, I'm here with no sleep. I said, yeah, I'm a little stressed, right? So the teacher comes over. She asked the teacher, she said, could you come over and read this for us? And so the teacher comes over, and so she says the same thing. Oh, are you like a little stressed? Are you feeling under the weather? Blah, blah, blah. And so I told her, and she goes, oh, well, the zigzag here, she's like, that's like the muscle fatigue from exercising all weekend. And she's like, and then, you know, the stress of the midterm and so on. She's like, totally explains it. So she walks away. And just like Carrie, I'm like, wait a second. That's not, no, this ain't happening. I go, hook me back up to that thing. So she hooks me back up. And I literally went like this. It's like what I showed you guys earlier, but I didn't need to use my hands because I've gotten better at it. So she hooked me back up, and I said, okay, get the reading. So there's the same reading, jagged, jagged, jagged. And I said, watch this. And I went. And she went, oh my God, look at that, look. And so she brought the teacher back. The teacher took an image of it, took a picture of it, and brought it up and showed the class. She was so excited. She said, I'm going to use this in my future classes. I don't know if she's still using it. That was like, whatever, 10 plus years ago. But anyway, I changed it right on the spot, and she was thrilled. She was like, oh my God, look at what David just did.
Can I add?
Yes, please.
Sitting right next to you, you closed your eyes, and everything just went, oh.
Yes.
And
And this is perfect. And when I do the healing work, which some of you already know, if I extend that hand, same thing, like let's say Carrie had high blood pressure, and I'm with her, and I'm the nurse or the medical Qigong practitioner or whatever, boom, I can touch that leg, do that with my own body, my own mind, and it brings that about for the other person. In the same way, only the opposite. If you came into the presence of somebody who had an immense anxiety, and you walked into the room and you didn't expect it, and it's a family member, and then they're like, oh my God, and then you're like, oh my God, and then everybody's in anxiety, right? Yeah. And then you just even talking about it, she's like, I can feel it right there. You're just talking about it. So check it out. I won't leave you with that. Instead, do this. Take your mind, put it down in your feet. Pretend you're putting your body to sleep, but this is very important. As best I can teach you, okay, in this moment. Instead of like some people, if I said to you, make yourself like you're going to sleep, they just go to sleep in their head. No, this is not what I'm talking about. Close your eyes and put your body to sleep. Your head needs to stay awake. So close your eyes and imagine all this energy falling like rain, and then go down to your feet. And don't hold your breath, but don't try and breathe. This is very important. Don't hold your breath, but don't try and breathe either. Just lock your mind into your feet. And once you've locked your mind into your feet, what's happening in your navel center? And by the way, as I'm doing this, I can feel myself burping there a little bit, which is the clearing of the solar plexus that Carrie was talking about. And as I'm doing it, I can hear Carrie's belly growling. So literally she's going into a rest and digest pattern while sitting here next to me as I'm doing this exercise. So I'm placing the mind in the feet, and then here, I want to just stay there for a minute. I want to stay there. That's the part that takes some patience and some practice, but I can already feel it changing, not only my breath, but I can feel it changing Carrie's breath sitting next to me. She's getting closer to being able to take a breath. If I keep doing this, let's just do it for fun. We'll keep doing it. You guys can watch Carrie if you desire, because Carrie's on the verge of having a breath change. You see, it got easier for her to breathe. She took a deeper breath in, and I literally heard something in her spine or somewhere pop. Where was the pop? Where's the adjustment? Her literally mid-back. Do you see that? Chiropractic with no hands. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Thank you, Carrie. So awesome story. I love that. Okay. And this is what we're talking about, and this is what we want you guys to tune into. Okay. So, all right. So the mind-body connection, I don't want to get too much into the philosophy, too much into the science. I wanted to give you a flavor of that, but I love to give people techniques. I literally have, I don't even know how many thousand techniques, 2,000 techniques, like so many techniques. We have core techniques that we do, but then there are many other supplemental techniques. It is very important to have many techniques, I believe, in your toolbox. Why? Because the screwdriver does not do the same thing as the hammer and the drill and so on. Everything has its own place. At the same time, you know, here, I wouldn't be wearing this today and wouldn't be teaching this today if it wasn't for Bruce Lee. So shout out to Bruce Lee. But Bruce Lee used to say, I don't fear the man who knows 10,000 techniques. I fear the man who knows one technique and does it 10,000 times. So it's also important to understand that however many techniques we have, that we do them over and over and over again. So like somebody who's just watching me and dabbling in what I teach, let's say, they may come watch one program like this one on YouTube or something, and then they watch another one of my programs on YouTube, and then they actually watch a third one, a little bit of each one. And if they were to say this, oh God, he's teaching that waterfall thing again, then they're missing the power of the teaching. You need to have a technique like the waterfall, which, by the way, can be done at least 10 different ways, at least probably 20 or more. There's many different ways we do that. But to have something that you can always rely on and always come back to, just like Carrie did when she went to the doctor's office. In that moment, and I don't know that this was true for her in that moment, and that's irrelevant at this moment, but let's just say all of the other techniques she knew were out the window. She could have chose other ones. She knows other ones, whatever. But maybe you're so stressed, you can't even remember anything but the waterfall. Well, you remembered the waterfall. You remembered it when you needed it most, and you accomplished what you needed to accomplish with it. That's what's so important. All right, I'll say a little bit about science, because I said I would say something to this earlier. We talk mind-body connection. And of course, we have this slogan, right? Mind, body, spirit. A lot of it's, sorry, I'm a scientist. I'm also a martial artist, and I also practice a lot. So some of it is fluff. It's a fluff idea. It's a nice idea, but sometimes it's pretty fluffy. The moment you're able to change your blood pressure with it, we're talking about the mind-body connection. And we're talking about, to me, exercising some higher part of your mind, which just may be connected to your spirit. And if you've listened to some of my teachings before, spirit and breath in the ancient times were synonymous. The breath, you're born as a baby and you breathe for the first time, the spirit takes the body. When you leave your body, and if you've ever seen a loved one depart the body, it's the opposite. Inhale to come in, Exhale to go home. Inhale to come in, exhale to go home. But what if you're staying for a while? What if you're staying for a while? Well, what we've been taught, and this is the challenge, I'm just going to say it briefly. I don't even want to stress you out about the subject. It will stress you out because it's a stressful subject, but I'm just going to say it briefly. Let's get it out of the way. People are not breathing. Why are they not breathing? Why? Well, it's called trauma, ongoing trauma, yesterday's trauma, trauma from the news, worry, fear, all of this. I'm going to tell you a mistake you made when you're a child. I made the same mistake. I've been teaching myself how to undo it for all the rest of these years. Okay, coming up on 54. I'll be 54 in December. So however many years it's been, I'm reworking it. Okay, I'm rewiring it. All right, this is how I'm doing it. When I was younger, I don't know about you, but I had different things happen, including getting run over by a trailer, which is what messed up my back. Okay. And I also got like bullied, and I had different things going on, and I had conflicts with people at home, and stress, and, you know, alcoholism and all this stuff going on in my house. Right. And parents fighting, and noise, and, you know, chaos. What do you do when you're typically in that environment? Unless you're trained, I'll tell you what you do. It goes just like this. You hold your breath as long as you can. All right, check it out. That doesn't work. As a method of self-protection and self-preservation, it does not work. Breathing consciously is where your power is and will always be. And if you're going to hold your breath and be powerful, then you have to do it in a very certain way, consciously and deliberately. That's where your power is. So mastering your breath, if breath and spirit are synonymous, then when you master your breath, you're also mastering your spirit. All right. If you work with your spirit and you work with your breath, then you're also working with what? Your oxygen, your carbon dioxide, your nitrous oxide, okay? These different gases and so on, and all the science behind that. And this, again, I've said, I'm just going to say this briefly, but there's all kinds of science coming out about this area of the lower dantian. It's being referred to as the second brain. Of course, in general, it's called the gut. There is much gut science that is being done right now, and much gut science that is coming out. And they have already measured the field. Don't you find it interesting? This has been called in Chinese medicine for like 5,000 years. An elixir field. This has been called an elixir. There's an elixir field coming off of this dantian. Well, guess what? An elixir field coming off of this dantian. Well, check this out. Western medicine has found this one. That's what the EEG is about. When they measure the brain waves, and then, or the ECG and the EEG. Anyway, and then you have the EKG, where they're measuring a field. Check it out. It is Western science. You go to the doctors and they do the echocardiogram. They're measuring a field of energy. But if you say that to most doctors, they're like, oh, you know, stop with the woo-woo. But it's not woo-woo. There's a bioelectric field that is happening there. Qigong is talking about these things. And this was the mind blow for me, because I was studying Eastern medicine, Western medicine, and guess who the guinea pig was? It was me. I was the guinea pig. I was just trying to heal myself. It worked. Imagine that. So now I'm like, wow, okay, well, I guess I got to go, you know, show other people how to do this, you know? So the second brain is what we refer to in all of our practices as this thing called lower dantian. And eventually, guess what? They're going to find that field too, and they're going to be able to measure it. I don't know of anything that they have currently to measure that field, but they're going to find it. They're going to be able to measure it. And in fact, there is something in China that they've discovered, and it very well may be that field. They're a little hush-hush on it. There's certain information and science out on it, but they may have already discovered it. And I wouldn't be surprised at all. So learning to manage the gut, this is the place, okay? When we talk about the mind-body connection, we're talking about the gut and the brain, but then also higher spirit. If you have any disease in your body, if you have any pain, if you have any relationships that are emotionally stressful to you, and so on, guys, gals, we're talking about the gut. I told you earlier that if the flow of chi through your legs is not good, through your feet, your ankles, your knees, and your hips, then that chi is not moving into lower dantian. You're not charging this lower reservoir, your battery, what we call in Chinese medicine, your jing, your essence, your fuel. And then the energy goes to the kidneys if you've got enough. And if it goes to the kidneys, check this out. Your kidneys will change your inhalation. It will literally change your breathing pattern. I did a video recently on YouTube because I was asked this question, asked to do a blog and a vlog about it. So I did it. What are the different ways of breathing with Qigong? Well, there's many. But one of the most important ones to learn initially and also learn all the way through your practices, always keep it with you, is letting your breath alone, leave it alone. Perform the movement, because in Chinese medicine, we say the mind is commander of the chi. It's the commander of the energy. It directs the energy. The energy directs the blood. And then in there, you also have the endocrine system, all of those hormones and so on, working to go send messages to your body. Now, I don't know if you understand this, but it's related to the mind-body connection. So I got to say a little bit more about it, whether you've heard it before or not. Hopefully you meditate on this idea. Hormones, as I learned in molecular cellular biology class, they're the most powerful cell-to-cell communicators in the body. They reach from head to toe. And the moment that a signal is sent, they last for days, not seconds or a second, which is what most cell-to-cell communicators do. They last for days. What does that mean for our purposes? That means if you practice Qigong, unless you interfere with it with too much stress, for 3 to 5 days, you have like positive hormones, life hormones, happy hormones like serotonin running through your body. If you go sit down, and I've been saying it like this for several years, trying to drive the point home to people. If you go and watch a horror movie over the weekend and you eat popcorn and you drink Coca-Cola while you're watching that movie, you are dumping all kinds of toxic hormone into your body. And it's not going to last for 1 day. It's going to last for 3 to 5 days. And that energy is going to influence not only your biology, but it's going to influence your bioelectric field, which is also bioelectric, also means that it has a magnetic nature, which means you're going to attract certain people into your reality, right? It's the law of attraction kind of ideas. But with what I do and what I share with you is that I am a philosopher, I am a scientist, but I am a practitioner, having practices that you can do, bam, on command. I don't know, but I think you need it in this world. And learning to breathe again is more important, in my opinion. Go see your psychologist. I used to be a therapist in that way, and I used to go see therapists in that way. It's an important modality on our planet. Simultaneously, if you want a shortcut, relearn to breathe. And it's very boring to just, very few people are going to just breathe. When you have a practice that incorporates physical movement and breath and creative visualization, and you are strengthening your body while you're working on your mind, and you're sweating a little bit, and you're getting some of the benefits of running without running, this is what Qigong is, in a nutshell. And then you're squeezing in your meditation too. So if you don't have time to go, do your push-ups and go run and go meditate and get to the gym and so on, practice some Qigong exercises, and you have it all rolled into one package. And then you have something that you can use to calm that blood pressure and make some changes. All right. So without further ado, before we stand up though, and we're going to go back, I'm going to show you a couple other practices here. Let's just do a couple while we're seated here. Let's just say you're somewhere and you need this type of practice. You're not able to move your hands around. You're not able to be super obvious, but you are trying to get a grip on your breathing. because most of what I've shown you today is how do we change the mind and the chi and then change the breath. But now I want to show you directly go to the breath. Directly go to the breath. Okay. All right. When you're stressed out, your friends, your well-meaning friends say to you, well, you know, like Carrie's blood pressure's up. Well, Carrie, just take a deep breath. When you are not breathing, you're kind of in a fight or flight state. And then there's this new one, they've come up with this new terminology called freeze. Because that's kind of what it is anyway, right? It always has been, but they now call it freeze anyway. So that's kind of what it is. We're in this state of freeze, okay? Even more than fight or flight, it is. It's like we're just frozen, right? That's like holding the breath. So the first thing we need to do is we need to exhale our breath, not inhale. We need to exhale. So right from here, just wherever you're at, whatever your breath is doing, through the mouth, just go. Squeeze it out, hold it out for just a second, and then inhale through your nose. And then exhale it out through the mouth. Hold it out. Then inhale through the nose. And then just let it go. Just, all right. Now let me show you a Qigong practice that we do with that. This could be done seated or standing. I'm going to show this one to you seated. Okay. So you're like this and your hands are like in your lap. And the breath is going to be exactly the same. But as we're exhaling, we're going to go like this. And the idea is emptying the gut, not just of oxygen. This has become a new subject. It used to be said we're, getting rid of the carbon dioxide and so we can bring in oxygen. But now there's a lot of studies being done saying that we don't want to get rid of the carbon dioxide. We want to keep it because then the nitrous oxide levels are like this and like that. Anyway, save that for another day. But my main point is that the benefit of exhaling through your mouth in this exercise doesn't actually have to do with the carbon dioxide and the oxygen as much as it has to do with emotional release. So here we go. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And bend over a little bit. And let it come out. Now check this out. We're going to go up like a waterfall. We'll go inhale. We start the exhale. We bend over a little and then and then when you're ready, you come back up. Good. Now take a regular breath. Now we're going to do that one more time. Before we do it, I'm going to say this. If somebody asks me, and again, I've been in the medical world in different ways, Eastern, Western, for quite a while now, 30, 40 years. So if somebody asks me, with all of what you know, if there's one place in the body where it's causing problems within the body, where is it? Yes, I could say the heart. A lot of New Age teachers and even some scientists out there, Greg Braden and some of his buddies, Dr. Joe Dispenza does it. There's another, anyway, there's a couple other guys. They're spot on with the idea of opening the heart and the heart being able to reach to the moon and like heart math. These are all good studies. This is an area that a lot of people have kind of left behind. And the reason that meditators and yogis and so on, certain yogis, I'm just generalizing, but the reason why we want to skip it is that that's the seat of our emotions. That's the seat of our past. That's all this heaviness. So what a lot of teachers do is they teach, let's just skip over all of that and go to the heart. And that can work. Don't get me wrong. It can work. But if your heart is very closed off and you have a lot of swelling and inflammation in your body, problems, physical disease that constantly distract you and call for your attention, vying for your attention. In my opinion, it's just generalizing, but it's the best way I can teach you quickly. you would have to give up your job, give up your relationships, and go live at the ashram in order to just go to your heart, or literally like pray all the time at your church. Like it would take a super effort to only get there by going to the heart. That's my simple explanation. Work with this area. This is the area that we see in all sports being exercised, but not just all sports: Tai Chi, Qigong, Kung Fu, karate, whatever, all of these different things. And we also see this area being harnessed in the deeper yogic practices. The yogis, there's rare instances where this is different, but most yogis, they emphasize bringing the mind to this area and then moving it upward. In some yogic disciplines, they just literally go out the top of the head. But again, that's like an ashram practice, because those people don't tend to live in the everyday world. They just literally sit on a cushion and they go outside the top of their head. So if you're living in the world and you want practices that are going to work for you, like Carrie, go to the doctors, make this change, make that change, work with the inflammation in your body, train your bones and build the strength in your bones and your tissues and so on. These Qigong practices can help you do that. So that's a lot of little information there on the side, I know, but so let's come back here. Just put your hands like this, if you would, kind of touching fingers, and you're going right over the navel center. So I'm just kind of, my thumbs are like just over the top of the navel center. Navel center is right in between there. This is the seat of your lower dantian, okay? And so like in Buddha meditation, for example, you'll see sometimes they'll meditate like this. Sometimes they have their hands like this. But look at this. What is this cradling? If you ever see pictures on the internet, you'll see like a vessel here, a cooking vessel of hot coals. That's the lower dantian. Harnessing this area here, okay, and just keep your hands, hold them there for a minute, stay there. This is very important. While you're doing that, watch my little example here as well. So down there, you have this vessel and it's like water. And if you're anxious, the water's doing this. You need to steady this bottle. And you need to steady the water. And you need to do it right here. This is where it needs to be done. So it's not just that I place my hands here. You notice me moving my head. And I'm starting to burp actually right away as I'm bringing my mind down to that area. And once I start bringing attention here, it's not that I'm only bringing attention here or that I'm only aware of here. But this is an area that if you look at the population at large, and I've worked on a lot of people in the last 40 years, a lot of people, I don't know how many, but it's been a lot. Everybody that I've ever worked on, including myself, everybody is disconnected to this area to some degree or another. And this area can either be held tightly like a fist, which will cause all kinds of problems in your body and does, or you need to learn to bring some attention here, ongoing, until you sensate. It will take a while. It'll take some practice, but until you sensate the emotions that are hiding just underneath it. And don't get freaked out about them. It's just stress. You can just call it stress. And by staring at that stress, by observing it, in yogic practices and yogic traditions and some other meditation traditions, it's spoken like this: in awareness lives the eternal flame. In awareness, it's like code. It's like a riddle. In awareness lives the eternal flame. Well, that flame starts right here in your belly. And as you stoke the fire here, as opposed to putting it out, depleting it, you stoke it. You will create heat, you will create steam, you will create fire, and that fire will burn your emotional stress. And over time, you can learn how to move this up and through the body and out, up, through, and out. Now, signs you may notice while you're practicing. Saliva building at the back of your throat. As I say in our certification program, a swallow is never just a swallow. There are hormonal messengers in that saliva. So a swallow is never just a swallow. The swallow that you took at the beginning of this class is very different than the swallow you will take at the end of this class. There is medicine in your saliva. There's not a ton of money in telling you that there's medicine in your saliva. There's more money in selling you herbs. There's less money in telling you that there's medicine in your saliva. But because I healed myself with the medicine in my own saliva, we'll say it like that today, for now, then I have to tell you about the medicine in your saliva. I have to tell you about the medicine and teach you about the energy anatomy so that you can begin working with it, so that you can begin exercising it, and so that you can begin immediately experiencing the benefits of it. And when it comes to healing something in your body, it will always require a tipping point. That means just enough of the right kind of saliva, just enough of the right kind of energy, just enough Qigong practice. How many days and hours will I have to practice? You have no idea. You just have to do the best you can do and work with what you're working with. Take every shortcut that you know how to take. It took me 13 years to heal my spine, but I healed my spine. So this is essentially a lower Dantian meditation. Meditating on lower Dantian. This will also help you get grounded and stay grounded. I recommend at least some of this. And then you can take the hands now and now come to your heart space. That's middle Dantian. And by the way, once you heal what's in lower Dantian, you just don't need to do that as much anymore. But that takes years from my experience. So therefore, spend some years working with lower Dantian, and then also coming here, then you can work with middle Dantian. But again, if you just try and go to this heart space, again, without trying to be judgmental of anyone, just my experience, it seems that people who are just trying to go through this path alone, again, they either have to sort of leave the regular everyday world, or the other thing is that it's almost like they have to be fake. They have to pretend they're loving when they're actually angry. We don't need to do that in Qigong practice. I don't need to pretend that I'm loving. I get angry too sometimes. That anger needs to be managed in my gut. And then I can open up my heart. Until I open up my gut, sometimes it's very difficult to open up my heart. The more that I heal my gut, though, the more that I heal my heart. Once again, bringing an inner smile to the face. Imagining one person that could use some energy from your healing practices here today and from the group. Imaging them in your mind. In Qigong, it is an art form. It is also an expression and an extension of the mind. So with your hands now, take your hands and imagine wherever that person is, put your hands out in front of you and imagine that you are sending your thoughts and your energy in the direction of that person. Don't forcefully push or do anything. You're just holding your hands out. Your hands become an extension of your prayer, your intention, your mind, and literally across time and space, you can, if you desire, you can imagine like waves of energy moving from your hands across time and space to that person's house, to their body, something like this. And then from here, bring the hands down, inhale. Brush your hands like this. This is a good way to, a little ritual to say, okay, I'm like letting that go now. So you sort of, and then just imagine those waves like going and they like disconnect. They're not continuing. You just let them go. That leaves that person to themselves. And let's everybody go ahead and stand up here as we go into a concluding practice. Shaking hands here, like lightly, like this. This one's very good for the lymphatic system. It's another one I use for warm-up practices and stuff. So this is a good one. For you, for those of you that are new, one good place that you can always come link up with us is Thursday afternoons, 5:30 East Coast time. We practice Qigong every week. The sessions are recorded, so you can actually watch them later. And then there are many other sessions that, you know, once you kind of sign on, there's at least 3 months of previous sessions that you can also go back and watch. It's only $45 a month. There's a lot of excellent material there, and it's a lot to practice. And then, of course, anytime you can practice with us live, that's a beautiful thing. We all find it very helpful having people from all over sort of connecting in and tuning in and practicing together. So energy feels very different to me right now, guys, than it did when we first started today. So awesome work. And we're going to wrap it up with some practices here. Just cleaning up, warming up. And then we're going to send a nice ball of chi from this program out into the world here. And get grounded at the same time. So all right. So we had this one earlier where we floated the hands up and we sunk down. Floating up. Sinking down. Oh, don't worry about your breath right now. Slow movement, but everything together. So together, up and then down. So when you're getting ready to come up, the body starts moving, then the hands move, then the body starts moving, then the hands move. The belly button starts moving, then the hands move. The belly button starts moving, and then the hands move. Belly button brings the hands, belly button brings the hands. Belly button brings the hands. Belly button brings the hands. Up, down, up, down. When your breath catches up with you and you want to inhale here, you can just feel it. Let it happen.
As the exhale gets a little bigger, go a little deeper, a little longer here. So that's just a refresher on that one. Inhale. And a couple other details there. Touch middle fingers, exhale, slow, slow, slow. Inhale. Exhale. Now, a grounding practice, sumo in nature, Japanese reference anyway. This is like you're exhaling and then here, it's a guttural sound. This is very grounding. It also opens up the Lord on Tien. Helps alleviate stress and pent up emotion. Very good. Bring yourself to the center. Reach down toward your knees or your toes, whatever's comfortable. A nice little stretch. Breathing. And when you're ready, no rush, just coming up, bringing hands together to this prayer-like pose that we started with here. Take a minute to check in with yourself. What's your space feel like? What's your energy feel like? Notice what's moving, anything that might still be stuck. Maybe noticing some increased spaciousness, easier to breathe. Perhaps you're a bit warmer in your body. Let a nice sighing sound. Excellent job, and let's bring it back in one more time. All right. So thank you for joining us today from around the world, actually, and changing the vibe in your space. I consider you guys all my neighborhood. Anybody that I sort of come in contact with in my life, I consider being in my neighborhood. I don't believe in like this little pocket of my reality on such and such a road is my neighborhood. That is too, but my neighborhood is whoever happens to be in my space. And as Jesus and others have said, Buddha and so on, love thy neighbor as thyself. It seems difficult to do. Perhaps it was for me in the beginning. My family would say, I love you, but then there was so much dysfunction that went with it. I couldn't trust it. And then in school, I got picked on by kids and so on, couldn't trust that. Anyway, I had to relearn to breathe, and I had to reteach myself the source of my own power.
I stopped breathing when I was born. Once I was born and a few bad things happened, I stopped breathing. Every year of my life got worse until I learned to start breathing again. Breath is the source of your power. You hear it all the time these days. But there has to be a practice that goes with it. So something you're going to do, something you can take with you, something that becomes a lifestyle to some degree, even if you only practice it once a month, because if you don't, then it's just not going to work, so it has to become part of you, part of your routine, part of your habit, so on. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed some of those exercises. Again, thank you very much to the Love, Peace, Amen Foundation for sponsoring this event. And for those of you who haven't read it and are interested, Qigong for Beginners, I save the practices for like videos. I have whole courses that get into the medical Qigong technical teachings. People can get CEUs and PDAs and stuff, acupuncturists, massage therapists for that. And I save the exercises for like videos on Amazon and so on. There's a few exercises in here, but this to me, I probably could have done a little bit different title as I rethink about it. And I may even repost it as something else later. But the reason I did Qigong for Beginners is I appreciate people who have beginner's mind. It's like my Tai Chi teacher, my first Tai Chi teacher, knew I was steeped in karate when I walked in his door. It was pretty obvious. And he said to me, I will teach you Tai Chi on one condition. And he said, you're going to have to first empty your cup of tea before you enter my school. And that meant you're going to have to set aside karate. You're going to have to set aside everything you know, and you're going to have to start with beginner's mind. And I've done that now many times. I have no ego about this at all. I go from being a black belt and people are walking around calling me master, and I just take it off, put on a white belt and walk into a new school and come in with beginner's mind. But anyway, this particular book, this is more about some exercises, but this is the idea of the mind-body connection from the perspective of your thoughts and your words. Yes, your breath. Yes, your physical gestures and postures. I get into that too. But these subtle details of what are you saying? What are you thinking? How can you reframe it in your head? How can you say certain things and breathe that into your body as opposed to just walking with your shoulders slumped and repeating the same old rubbish that maybe you learned when you were a kid like I did, that caused me to have a spine that looked like I was 85 years old when I was only 25. So anyway, if you're interested in that kind of thing, I think this book is a shake up and a wake up. So anyway, if you're interested in that, check that out. It's on Kindle, and it's on Amazon. It's on Lulu Publishing as well. Anyway, thanks guys so much. I appreciate it. And you all have a great rest of your day. And this will be up by tomorrow if you want to go back and review it and practice any of those exercises. So take care, everyone. Feel free to unmute yourselves and everyone just say goodbye and shout out to everyone. Feel free.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Great to
Thank
see you.
Thanks,
you,
everybody.
Marilyn.
Thank you from around the
Thank
world.
you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.